What's going on, everybody? This is Temperature Check. I am your host, as always, man. Mr. Check the Temperature. How y'all doing? Before we get started with today's content, I must do what I always do anytime you see me on your screen, and that's thank you guys for the likes, comments, shares, most importantly, those subscriptions. So whether you be a day one fan or someone who just started rocking with the channel today, man, I greatly appreciate it. And if you're loving what I got going on my YouTube and you want to stay engaged with me outside of this, man, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter. It's just that simple. Mr. Check the Temperature on both of them platforms. But before we get started off into today's topic, man, I got to let y'all know, man, got to keep y'all reminded. I got this temperature check apparel dropping next week. The pre-orders are doing very well, man. So hit me up in the comment section. Hit me up on my social media platforms if you're interested in a hat or a hoodie, man. We got the hoodies in 4 different colors. We got the red dad temperature check hat. So it's going to be a good time. But we about to talk some sports. You see the jersey. You see the jersey. I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. I can't lie. I cannot hold back my fandom. I am super excited. The AFC Divisional round. You know, Lamar Jackson finally got that gorilla off his back. But I needed some help, man. I'm not going to lie. You know, I know sports, but the Buffalo Bills, yeah, they really ain't been relevant my whole life. So I needed someone who I could kind of have a debate with. People have been trying to debate with me in my comment section. I said, man, I got to bring my brother up here. I got to bring somebody who knows sports even more than I do. And I mean, this is a good dude, man. He's been rocking with me, one of my day one subscribers. We support each other, and he is going to come in his room, and we are going to debate this highly anticipated matchup today, man. So without further ado, man, let me bring my guy in, Mr. Nate Drink One, and have him introduce himself. And we about to debate. It's about to go up, man. I'm excited. Let's get it.
Let's talk some playoff, baby. You know what it is. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man,
glad to be on here.
Man, thank you for just taking the opportunity out your busy schedule. I know you got a lot of things going on with the NBA, James Harden, Kyrie losing their minds over in Brooklyn. But we got football, baby. We got football. It is divisional week playoffs. And again, like I said, I don't really know too much about Buffalo. I know a little bit, but I had to bring in an expert, somebody who's a little bit more versatile than even I am when it comes to the sports. So obviously, you're going to go with Buffalo. I'm going to talk for the Baltimore Ravens. I flipped the coin. I lost. I'm going to let you open it up, and I'm going to put 20 minutes on the clock. And I need to let people know I had to have a timer on this debate because I'm not going to back down. He's not going to back down. You're about to see 2 bulls in the pen, and we about to talk about some things. So let's get to it, man. I'm going to start the timer. All right, it's on you, man. Give me your opening. Give me your opening round, man.
All right, so we got the Baltimore Ravens led by the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson, and then we got the Buffalo Bills led by probably outside of Aaron Rodgers, the MVP this year, Josh Allen. And I want to say one thing. I think, people get caught up in records, right? So you look at Baltimore record this year compared to Baltimore record when they came into the playoffs last year, and you think, oh my God, Baltimore was so much better last year. And that's true in some areas, but that's not true in all areas. What you have to understand is this. It's a thing. This is why the NFL has parity. It's a thing that they got called a first place schedule and a last place schedule. Last year, Baltimore actually had a tougher schedule than this year. This year, they had the easiest schedule in the NFL. Take away the corona, but they didn't have to leave the Eastern time zone only like once. And that was the game in Texas, I believe. And so their schedule was easier, but it was still considered a first place schedule because we know what the NFL was trying to do. They were trying to be more regional with COVID being around. So that's why it looks that way. So the reason I throw that out there is because, yes, the record is different, but this team, for the most part, is the team that you seen last year. Now, let's get into it.
Okay, man. So here's my thing. As someone who really hasn't followed Buffalo Bills that much, I can say this. When I look at the Buffalo Bills, that's a very dangerous team. I honestly think they have the best wide receiving core in the AFC. top to bottom, man. If you looking at their starting receivers, you starting off with Stephon Diggs. I mean, my goodness, that man right there is a game breaker every time he can touch the ball. And then you go John Brown. That's another, and he came from Baltimore, so I know what he can do. And then you have Cole Beasley, who has been the number one receiver, but he's not a number one receiver. But what he is probably a top 3 slot receiver in the NFL.
Okay.
And with a sound running game, I can't lie, I'm a little nervous about Buffalo. However, my Baltimore Ravens, like you talk about that team last year, I'll be honest with you. Anyone knows me when I talked about that team last year, once we took that 3-week layoff, I knew we was gonna lose.
Right.
I knew we was gonna lose. And then I also had to look at the law of averages. It's not very many teams that win 9-10 games in a row going into the playoffs. You need a loss. You need a loss right before the playoffs. It ain't got to be a week 15, 16, 17, but a good loss in like a week 13 or 14 just to keep you humble, keep you hungry. That's what we needed last year. This year, the team is a little bit different. Obviously, we started off fast. The Baltimore Ravens started off very hot. But as we talked about, and I'm pretty sure you're going to allude to, man, I think we looked in the mirror for a couple of weeks and we didn't know who we were. We lost our identity for a couple of weeks. So much so that we were 6-5. But then when you talk about that schedule, when we were 6-5, and I looked at the rest of the schedule, I was not worried. Because what ended up happening, we got back to what we do in Baltimore. Everybody know, baby. We tote that rock, baby. We tote that rock like nobody else in the NFL. We got a 3-headed monster, and we got a defense. The defensive line is finally paying off. Shout out to Ozzie Newsome. You know what I'm saying? He groomed a great GM, and he was able to beef up our defensive line to attack the running game, specifically for the Tennessee Titans, because we had to get them up out of there. We had to get them up out of there. So you look at some of the key additions we had in the offseason. You look at a Calais Campbell. You look at Ndikwe. You look at a Derek Wolfe. You saw those acquisitions pay dividends last week by the way they were able to reestablish the line of scrimmage, which led to a very dominant performance by our defense. You got to think, when you have Derrick Henry, who just went off for 230 the week before, 18 carries for 40 yards.
You're right.
Who does that start off with? You know this, Nate. Who does that start off with? That is why I'm confident. And then Lamar finally got the gorilla off his back, even though he's been in the playoffs every year. He's the only 2018 quarterback out of that draft class to go to the playoffs every year. And he got the monkey off his back last week, over 17-24. After the interception, yes, he had an interception, but after that, he was phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. So back on you, man.
So let me hit you with this quick. Let me hit you with this rebuttal right quick. Right. First of all, I like what you said about Buffalo's offense. It is elite. It's not Kansas City elite, but it's elite. I think Kansas City is in the class of its own when you're talking about offensively, and the AFC and NFL as a whole. But as good as that win was last week, and I give Baltimore D-line credit last week. Hey, Derrick Henry is a handful. But we have to remember this. Tennessee offensive line is not the same as last year. Jack Conklin, he's gone. Is another guard, he's gone. And then their best offensive lineman is hurt. So they didn't go against the full-fledged Tennessee line. But I'm not gonna water down y'all win. I'm not gonna water down your win. My point is this: you going against some animals this week. That Buffalo Bills offensive line is a top 3 offensive line. You going against some animals. You got to be ready for the running back that play quarterback in Josh Allen, and you got to be ready for the running back in the actual running back Devin Singletary. Yes, you see how big Josh Allen is. This ain't no game out here. He gonna drag a couple of guys. And here's the deal. Buffalo also have a defensive line too. They also got a defensive line that will give Lamar Jackson problems. Now, Lamar Jackson is the most electrifying player in the NFL. So I'm not going to sit here and denigrate him like,
You talking bad about my guy.
But you can't game plan against Lamar Jackson. How do I know? You make him pass the ball. Last year when they played Tennessee, he passed the ball, I think 65 times, something like that. That ain't Lamar Jackson game. But Buffalo can't force him to do that. Let's talk about that run game. You talk about that run game. Let's talk about that run game right quick. No, most likely you're gonna have no Mark Ingram. So that means the starter either go.
He's a healthy scratch. He was a healthy scratch last week.
Right, meaning he ain't worth being in the rotation no more. Right. So most likely you start that game with either J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards. One of the two. They start that game. And like both of those guys, little short in stature. I like them. But listen, Buffalo knows how to close those gaps with their defensive line. It's going to be tough. I think you're going to have to lean more on Gus Edwards than J.K. Dobbins because I think the Buffalo line, they got some tricks up their sleeves for the young rookie J.K. Dobbins. And he's good. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying it's you have to learn some stuff in the NFL. That's why you see a lot of guys come out the box good and then they fall off. I think they got a game plan for that run game. They're going to force Lamar Jackson to throw the ball. No, Lamar, you're going to throw the ball. Who are you going to throw the ball to? We know your number one target, Mark Andrews. But if we put a cornerback on Mark Andrews, we got a good chance of mitigating what he want to do because for some reason he had like his hands tired. I'm just saying, I seen a couple plays last week where he could have caught the ball and he drop. So let's say we're going to take Mark Andrews out the game plan, baby. Now what you got? Marquise Brown? Okay, Marquise Brown, cool. Okay, Hollywood, you gave us a little something last week to prep for. But can you do it 2 weeks in a row? We don't know. You kind of small, so one hit might get you up out of there. So we might just, have to take. We might
respect right now.
We might have to get you out of there. So when you take them to, who's the third option? Dez Bryant or Willie Snead? Willie Snead been 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on the field all year.
But he always seems to come up and make the big play. I agree. Willie Snead, you will not hear from him the whole game, but it will be a 3rd and 2, and Lamar Jackson needs them 2 yards, and you will see Willie Snead run a 2.5-yard out. That is exactly what Willie Snead is. But and I hear you. And as a Baltimore Ravens fan, one of my biggest concerns revolving our offense is definitely our deep threat ability. Because again, our number one receiver right now is Hollywood Brown. And I'll be honest with you, as someone who's played, collegiately, played professionally as a defensive back, I'm not scared of a Marquise Brown because I'm putting hands on him. I'm jamming him at the line every time. I'm going to make sure that we're running cover 2 and I got safety help over the top just in case he gets away from me. So I get that. But I'll also say Marquise Brown has a touchdown in the last 6 games. He has a receiving touchdown in the last 6 games. So
that's cool.
Again, when I talk about that 6 and 5 and we talk about the changes that were made, Marquise Brown is one of them changes. Having over 100 yards receiving as a Baltimore Ravens receiver is huge because we don't do that.
My question is this. What shutdown corner do Tennessee have? Because I know what shutdown corner Buffalo got. Oh, and Marquise Brown, he is about to get a whole lot of Tre'Davious White, baby. That's all pro, first team, all pro cornerback over there. And then on the other side, you still got Josh Norman, former Pro Bowler. Yeah, he done fell off. But listen, you don't got a receiver that's going to burn him up all that much. Because once Marquise Brown out of here, which he will be with Tre'Davious White, Josh Norman can play anybody you put on the other side. Whether it's Dez Bryant, whether it's Willie Snead, whether it's I don't know who it is. Josh Norman ain't worried about it because White gonna shut Marquise Brown down, baby. He ain't gonna do much over there. But I hear what you're saying.
You know what? You're real disrespectful right now. You're real disrespectful. I hear you talking about these DBs from Buffalo, like Baltimore ain't got no DBs, and you from Alabama, and you know
Marlon Humphrey. That's my guy. That is my guy. But listen,
hold on. And you see the number. I don't mean to cut you off, but you see the number. He's a gambler. He make plays. Marcus Peters is an X factor on our defense at all times. When you're in zone,
When you're in man-to-man, Marcus Peters is easily beaten. When you're in zone, he's one of the best cornerbacks in the organization. But when you're playing man-to-man, no sir, Marcus Peters' lunch can be eaten if you're in man-to-man. Now, Marlon Humphrey, All-Pro, got much respect for Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey a little small, so if you put him on Diggs, if Josh Allen's smart, all he got to do is put it on the back shoulder of you in the red zone, put it on the back pylon because of Humphrey's size.
They got to get to it. They got to get to the red zone.
So you don't think Buffalo can move the ball on the Ravens defense?
Oh, I absolutely do. I'm a realist when it comes to this game. I understand the offensive power that the Kansas City Chiefs are. However, when I look at their wide receiving core, it's very top heavy. You go Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, and you know what I'm saying? You got some rookies that they throw in there. But when I look at Cole Beasley and how elusive, again, you have, because with Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, you have basically two number one receivers with two number one receiver type mentalities. Sammy Watkins was not a good number one receiver. He was not a good number one receiver.
But here's the thing. All right, so I'm gonna ask you this right quick. Would you rather have Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs.
Would you rather have Travis Kelce or
Travis Kelce?
Dawson Knox?
Unless you say Jesus Christ, it's gonna be Travis Kelce.
Right. So and then when you go down, would you rather have Sammy Watkins or John Brown?
I got a lot of respect for John Brown because I got to watch him. But I'll go with Sammy Watkins though. I'll go with Sammy Watkins.
So that's why I say that about Kansas City. Because you got to add in Travis Kelce. I know he's a tight end, but the dude he was leading the NFL in receiving yards as a tight end. That dude basically a receiver.
But so quickly, when you talk about the tight end, this is not 1995. These are not 3-point. They put in their hand in the ground blocking tight ends. These are hybrid tight ends that you really are putting out in that flex position. You bumping them out, you bumping the Travis Henry out, making sure he's one-on-one with a linebacker, which is crazy, which is suicidal if you ask me. But so all credit to Travis Kelce, but we all know he's a hybrid receiver. Put him and Dennis Graham in there. It's definitely a lot of young tight ends that I can think of. Waller from Oakland Raiders, that's another one.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there since you brought that up. The AFC West, which is the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers.
Hold on, and I got to shout out my student. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I got to shout out my student. He is from Omaha. He's from Omaha, Nebraska. Noah Fant. He was one of my former students in high school.
Oh wow, really?
Again, when we talked about that's another one. We talk about Nebraska football. Why did they offer him late? But that's another topic for another day. But
I was just gonna say that division they have the best tight end grouping in the NFL, the AFC West. And when you said that, they have a lot. These are elite, all pro level tight ends. But another thing that we didn't talk about that I want to get into right before we get out of here is the coaching staff. How would the coaching staff play in all this? We got John Harbaugh. We got Sean McDermott for Buffalo. Listen, John Harbaugh don't won a Super Bowl, so you can't be disrespectful about that. But Sean McDermott is the hot stuff, the new, fresh off the press, coming for you. So that coaching matchup is going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait to see that because people overlook coaching until your team get beat 45-0. Then they're like, oh, they got out coached. Yeah, wait, yeah, that's pretty obvious. They got out coached 45-0. So
when it comes to our coaching, I have a lot of faith in John. I love his aggressiveness. Do you remember last week, 4th and 2, they called an offensive pass interference. I did not agree with, as an official. I did not agree with that. Right. I get it. I understand why you called it, but I did not agree with that. But the aggressiveness that I love, that's what I love. The willingness to put yourself out there, to trust not only your offense to get you them 2 yards, but trusting your defense to be able that if something happens, my defense got me. My defense is going to hold down. Patrick Queen, I'm seeing him make leaps and bounds as a rookie. Now he got a big holes, He got a big shoes to fill. I already know what people trying to compare him to, the number 52. I'm not trying to put that type of pressure on him right now.
Right.
But
that's a little unfair, but right.
From what I've gotten so far from this year, I am highly, highly excited about that young man's future. He's right. Sideline to sideline. What you saw at LSU, you are getting it in Baltimore, and that's all I can ask for. That's all I. And
he was a steal. When you think about where Baltimore drafted in the draft and where he got drafted, he was a steal. I thought for sure he would be off the board a lot early. In the early half of the first round, he ended up dropping. So hey, I ain't mad at it. That dude he a killer. He a young killer out there. I like me some Patrick Queen.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes, man. What are you thinking for this game? I haven't done a prediction for the divisional round, but seeing that this is my team, I need to know what NathanDrinkard thinks about this game. How are you calling this game?
31-28 Buffalo is the score I predict. I predict that? Because like I said, Buffalo is a good defense, but they're not going to be able to stop Baltimore. But I think their offense can put up more points, and they can hold the ball. They can have just as long as possessions as Baltimore, and they got a kicker they trust. You can't forget about the kickers.
Who kicker better? I want.
Wait. Okay. Yes. Baltimore has the better kicker. Baltimore has the better kicker.
Don't you even disrespectful. What?
Oh. Okay, Justin Tucker. God, no, he is the better kicker. He is. But I'm saying Baltimore got a kicker too, where if they hold the ball last, they believe in them. They can kick a winning field goal. This game is happening in Buffalo. So I'm just saying, I got Buffalo by 3. It's going to be a good game. But I think at the end, Buffalo, they stopped Lamar Jackson a little more than the Ravens defense stopped Josh Allen. That's all I'm saying. Stephon Diggs is the key, folks. Stephon Diggs is the key to this game. Watch what I tell you. If he goes for 100 plus, Buffalo wins. There's no way he goes for that much and they lose. That's the key to the game.
Okay. So, obviously, I'm going to have to completely disagree with everything you just said. But, no, seriously, I think keys for me is definitely going to be the matchup with Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to – I honestly think they're going to put – I think they might put Marcus Peters on Stephon Diggs. I think that he's a little bit more physical. He's a little bit bigger of a corner than Marlon Humphreys. So that's where I'm thinking they're gonna do. For the Baltimore Ravens, keys to victory. We got to let Lamar be Lamar. Let's not try to. We saw the blueprint of success. We've seen the blueprint of success the last 6 games. Let's not waver from that. Let's make sure we establish the run game. Let's make sure those play action pass we're hitting them tight ends. Again, everyone knows who we're gonna throw the ball to. They haven't stopped it for 6 games. Why are we gonna stop now? And so I think
you playing a different animal. That's why.
If we can make sure Lamar Jackson, his throws are somewhere between 20 to 25 throws. I don't want to see him throw any more than about 25 throws. I want to see him rush for anywhere between 50 to 80 yards. I think again with our type of run game, hopefully we're able to play keep away ball from that explosive Buffalo Bills offense. But I got a little bit more faith in my defense than you do, man. I don't.
You should.
Here's my thing. I can be okay with Stephon Diggs going over 100 if Cole Beasley does nothing. You can't have both. You can't have both of them go off. So let Stephon get his. Let him get 100 yards. But if he gets 100 and Josh Allen throws for 200, I'm okay with that because that means that we limited all the other offensive weapons that we got. So I'm actually going to pick. Of course, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. But I don't think it's going to be as high as you got it. You have it 31-28. Me personally, I got this being a dog fight. I'm looking at a 24-21 late field goal by Justin Tucker in the last 2 minutes, and I got my defense holding them up with a late interception, and that's how we're going to call it, man. But Mr. It has been certainly an honor and a pleasure to talk sports with you. I know we have been going back and forth for a very long time. We've been trying to figure out what we had in common, how we're gonna make this work. I'm glad we was able to link up, brother. We'll put all your information. Follow him on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. I'm gonna have his Cash App, like you blessed in the Temperature Check Cash App. Give my brother a couple dollars, man. We young entrepreneurs out here trying to work our hardest for you guys, man. So we love what we do. This is Temperature Check. I am your host as always, man. Mr. Check the Temperature. And I'll let you give him your signature, man, because you know I love it.
Well, you know what it is. Hey, look, we see what they don't and say what they want. And hey, I appreciate you for having me on, man. I appreciate the love because we got to support one another out here. And, you know, like we do always. Let's talk some sports, baby.